Hi, I'm Anthony from Sydney Backyard Veggies. I'm just going to do a few things in my patch this weekend. Got a lot of work to do. The spring's coming, so everything's really turbocharged at the moment. So first thing I'm going to do at the moment is to come through and harvest my loose leaf lettuce. Haven't harvested this for about 2 weeks now, and it's getting quite thick. So I'm going to come through and pick each of the leaves individually, give them a wash, and then move on to my next task. As I'm harvesting the leaves, I'm noticing that the plants are starting to slightly bolt, which is fine. Just means that the plant's trying to go to seed, and that's quite normal as the days get longer. Look, I will keep harvesting these for just probably another 2 or 3 weeks, and then I might just move them all and plant something new in this spot. But at the moment, these leaves are still great. They're still looking very clean and very nice, so happy to continue harvesting it. But as you can see, that's actually quite long, and that's just showing me that it's going to bolt, but that's fine. So I'll continue harvesting what I can off it for now. So when I wash any leafy greens, I always do a pre-rinse with my harvest, and then what I do is I actually soak the leaves in a vinegar and salt solution. I put a good pour of vinegar and a fair amount of salt in the bucket, and what I do then is fill up with water and let the leaves soak in that. And what that does is the salt knocks off all those soft-bodied pests, aphids and the like, but also the vinegar acts as a sterilizer and sterilizes the harvest. So I do my initial rinse, I soak it for a couple of minutes in the solution, and then I do a final rinse, and then that's good to go indoors for further processing. So now it's been soaked, I'll just move it into the last bucket just to give it just a bit of a rinse, and then I'll rinse them off and put them in a basket to take inside. So just finished harvesting that lettuce. That's all washed now, that's good to go. Just a nice bucket. Just gonna take it inside, just make sure all the excess water drains off. The leaves are dry before you store them in the fridge, and yeah, they'll last for 2 weeks in the fridge in a paper towel wrapped in a plastic bag. So happy with that. Enough lettuce here for kids' sandwiches and salad during the week. So now I've moved over to my spinach plot here. Again, this hasn't been harvested in about 2 weeks, and it's starting to get overgrown with chickweed. There's still a lot of good leaves on this, so I'm going to go through and give it a real heavy harvest, really try to take off as much of that leaf matter as I can, try to see if I could stop it from bolting with the warmer weather we're having at the moment. So I'm just going to come through, hand pick all the leaves and see how much of a harvest I can get out of it. So I just finished off harvesting the rest of that spinach, and I've cleaned up the weeds, and now the patch is looking really good at the moment. I'm going to give it a bit of a fertilize like I do to the lettuces, a bit of liquid fertilizer, and hopefully in another 2 weeks I'll be ready to harvest this patch again. I harvested a big bucket of spinach leaves, and I'm going to go wash those now, similar to the way I washed the lettuces earlier on, and then I'll move on to my next harvest. The next thing I need to harvest is my silverbeet and my chickory in the background. Look, my silverbeet's been the disappointment of my season. I've just really struggled with different diseases, different fungal diseases on the leaves, and I've had to throw a lot of the plants out. But also, as you can see, they do have what I feel is nematodes as well. As you can see, once the sun hits them, even though they're being well watered, they start to droop and go all floppy, and that's a sign of root problems. So what I'm going to do is probably pull out the ones that are damaged and obviously stressed, and I will harvest the rest of the leaves for the ones that are still doing okay, really cleaning out all the leaves that are yellow in and so forth, and see if I could revive these for another few months. But what I'm going to come do now is just pull out the ones that are obviously stressed, and obviously I'm doing that well, and then clean up the rest of the leaves. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to pull out this one here, this plant here, that's obviously looks distressed, and it looks like, even though I've watered it, it looks like it needs more water. Obviously, if I pull it out from the roots, you'll see, there you go. You can see that it's full of nematodes. All those little bulbous things are nematodes. There you go. Look, that's huge. What's happening here is that you've got microscopic insects in the ground, in the soil, that are attacking the roots, and it's actually causing a lot of problems in the plant and its ability to take in nutrients. So that's why this plant's really struggling, as you can see, even though it's watered. When you see your plants really droopy, and even with water, even as soon as the sun hits them, it's a sign that they've got root damage, nematodes and the like. So I'm going to come through and harvest it, just work through the rest and clean them up and see what I can salvage from the crop. So I just finished our harvest, and I've got 3 bunches of silverbeet, so they're looking pretty good considering I threw most of it out, but these will get dried out now. I'll hang them up, let them drip dry, and now I'll go move on to that chickory. So now I've moved across over to my chickory. This is going to be my first harvest of this crop for the season. I planted these about 6 weeks ago as seedlings, and they're just doing great. Just been giving them a bit of, making sure the water's up to them, giving them some liquid fertilizer. But what I'm going to come do is come out and harvest pretty much all the larger leaves, and while I'm at it, clean up a lot of this chickweed that's been growing through my patch. So I'm going to come through now and harvest this lot. So I just finished the harvest, and I've really cleaned it up, as you can see. Got rid of all that weeds. I've still got a few weeds I've got to get rid of there. But I'm coming over to my bucket. Again, I've got a bucket full of chicory. I washed that again. I'll let it dry, and I think I might have to see if I can find anything else to do in the garden at the moment. I think I have a few other bits and pieces I need to harvest. Next thing to harvest in my patch is my Brussels sprouts. This plant here, I topped it about a week ago. The idea is that to stop the plant from concentrating on growing more sprouts, but rather concentrate on growing out the sprouts themselves, and I think it's done the trick. They're looking quite uniform at the moment. So what I'm going to do is harvest this one, but I've actually got a few in my other patch which I need to harvest as well. I'm going to come harvest this one and see what kind of crop I get off it, and then I'll move over and harvest my other ones over in my main bed. There you go. As you can see, it's quite a heavy plant, but I've got a few nice ones in here. Gonna go harvest another one from over there, and then we'll take the leaves off and see how much of a crop we can get. So I've got my Brussels sprouts here. I'm just gonna rip out the external leaves. It's just a lot easier to work with, so I can show you what I ended up with. A couple of nice big ones here. Might use a knife actually to cut these leaves, because it's actually quite an awkward thing to use. There you go. Quite a nice looking plant. These ones are actually quite good size. These ones are quite happy with these, and they're quite clean. I think I saw the other ones that I harvested just before weren't as nice as this, but well, I'll have a quick show to you what they look like. But I'm going to take these inside, I'll pop them off, and yeah, we'll eat them during the week. So I finished harvesting my Brussels sprouts, and I ended up getting 5 good sized stalks. I'll just show you the two nicest ones. There you go. I'm just going to take these in now and clean them up and store them in the fridge. Yeah, clean off all the ones that have been damaged, as you can just see there. But that's fine. I mean, I'm happy with this. First year growing them. Really stoked with my crop this year, but all good. So I'm going to go off now and I will harvest some kohlrabi. So I'm over at the last of my kohlrabi. This was the patch that I had here over the last few weeks, and I harvested it about 2 weeks ago. These ones were the last of the crop that were still a bit small, so I've decided to leave them for another 2 weeks, and now I'm going to come through and harvest the rest. They're decent size at the moment, so they're done. So I'm going to harvest these, essentially just pull it out of the ground, and then what I'm going to do is just cut off the root ball and just remove these outer leaves, and these will go to the chickens. And there you have it. It's the size of my palm. This is perfectly fine to be eaten right now. I don't generally cook these, and I usually use them as I essentially eat them out like an apple. I'll cut them in half and just eat the flesh. But this is perfect crop to grow if you've got a bit of space. So I'm going to come through and harvest the rest of these now, and then move on to my next job. So there you go. Just harvested those last 3. Yeah, it's really easy crop to grow, really rewarding, and very good to eat. So these are done now. Take them inside, give them a wash, and I'll probably go harvest some of the lemons behind me. I think that's the last thing I'm going to do today. So I'm going to go harvest those lemons and then call it a day on my harvesting. So the last thing for me to do today is going to harvest the lemons off this tree. I've already had 2 harvests off this tree, and the fruit that was on now is just starting to go yellow. Probably end up picking probably 2/3 of this tree now. I'll go through, take off what I can. It is starting to flower, which is a good sign. But I do need to get this season's crop off it, because it just takes away from the tree trying to concentrate on producing next season's crop. So I'm going to go through and just progressively pick anything that I find that's starting to yellow and see what we end up with. So I just finished harvesting my lemons and essentially got a container full. Still plenty of fruit on the tree, but I've got some beautiful looking lemons here. I'm going to let these cure for a few weeks in a cardboard box. It helps really to loosen up the juices out of the plants. There is evidence of a little bit of insect damage on them, but look, home growing. It doesn't matter if they're not A grade, but they're still, for me, they still look perfect. So really happy with that. So there you have it. I'm done for the day. Spent a couple of hours in the patch. I just wanted to show you the haul that I've got today. I'm just having most of it either washed. It's washed and drying out, ready to go into storage. Look, I'm grateful to have the ability to grow so much produce in my veggie patch. The hardest bit now is trying to find somewhere to put it while we wait to cook it during the week. But I will be handing out the lemons to the folks and some of the silverbeet. The lettuce will get used up for kids' sandwiches, and silverbeet, the chickory, and the spinach. No, they cook down a lot pretty quickly, so although they look like a lot, they'll cook down in no time. So yeah, happy with that. Look, thanks a lot for joining me in the garden today. Hope you enjoyed watching me work through my patch, and look, I'm hoping to see you in the next one.